This chapter introduces the concept of the function. We've been using functions all along in that every program we've written includes an int main, which is a function. Now in this chapter we're going to actually define what a function really is and how to design and implement our own functions for use in our programs. First, let me give you a little definition. A function is an individual set of instructions invocable for a single purpose. Now, what does that mean? Take a look at the following simple program. The idea here is that the user is going to enter a number, and then we're going to print out the square of the number by multiplying the number by itself here in the cout statement. We could have assigned it to another variable, but you get the idea of how number is squared. A procedure such as that really needs to be defined in a function. So how do we define functions? A function is defined in what's called the global area of your program, which is above or actually below int main. It's easier if you define your functions above int main. I'll explain in a later lesson why that's so. So how do we create functions? A function definition begins with a data type. That data type refers to the data type of the return value of a function. The idea of a function is we're going to pass data to a function, usually, and have it return a value. A square function is going to be passed a number, and it's going to return the square of that number. So the first part of the function definition is the data type of the return value. The second part of the function is the function name. In this case, we're going to call it square. Function names need to be mnemonic, much like variable names do. In other words, the name of your function should give some sort of idea of what the function's purpose is. We want to square numbers with this function, so we're going to call it square. We've seen examples in the math library of functions like absolute value, ABS, or square root, SQRT. Those are also examples of mnemonic function names. So the second part of a function definition is the name of the function. The third part of the function definition is something called the parameter list. The parameter list is the list of data that we're going to pass to a function. And there can be one piece of data, many pieces of data, or actually in some cases no pieces of data. The parameter list is always enclosed in parentheses, and it consists of a data type and a variable name. Except we don't call it a variable, we actually call it a parameter. So if we're going to pass a number to the function, that parameter can be called number. We can use any name we want. Number works fine here. And we have to also provide the compiler with the data type of the parameter. After the parameter list, then we have an open curly brace to begin the block of the function. A function's definition is inside a block, just like if statements and while loops and for loops are. And if you notice in int main, we've always put our program inside a block. So every function has a block that includes the main definition or the main guts, the working part of the function. The body of a function can vary depending on what the purpose of the function is. In this case, I'm going to create a variable called squared, and I'm going to assign it the parameter times itself, which is the act of squaring the data. So a number times itself is its square. Now I could have done this in two statements, or I could have done it like I did here in one. This is easy enough. You understand how declaration and initialization work, so we'll use that. After we've performed the main procedure of our function or gotten the work done, then we have to return the result back to the program where the function was called. I'm going to explain how function calls work in the next video. This is called a return statement, and every value returning function has to have a return statement. You'll notice that because we declared a data type for the function definition, that means it's a value returning function. Square is a function that returns an int value. In this case, the value we want to return is the variable squared. And so the value of the variable will be what is returned. We finish off the function definition by placing a curly brace at the end, like so. That completes our definition of the function square. Now, let's see how we're going to actually use the function in our program. I'll dedicate the next video to talking about function calls, and that's the use of a function in a program. But just to kind of complete what we're doing here, let's go ahead and add that into our program. So where we computed number times number before, we're going to take that out, and in its place, write the function name followed by the argument. And again, the important thing to remember here is that the argument must match the parameter. So in this case, we're ready to go. So let's build and run the program. Enter a number. We'll try the number 4. 4 squared equals 16. So that's working fine. So that's how you define a function. Just to review real quick, a function definition consists of the data type of the return value of the function, followed by the function name itself, followed by a parameter list, which will be the data that you're going to pass into the program. There can be one or more parameters, and in some cases, no parameters. Then an open curly brace to signify the beginning of the function body. Then one or more statements that will perform the main operations of the function, what it is you want to get done. And then because this is a value returning function, we must have a return statement that returns a value to the calling program. In the next video, we'll discuss more about the function call or using the function in the program.